Hello, I'm Don Phipps, Superintendent of the Caldwell County Schools, and it's an honor and a pleasure for me to be able to be the host today for this episode of Caldwell County Schools Profiles. We have a couple of topics that we're going to talk about. We're recording in March of 2022, and our first conversation is going to be on school transportation in the Caldwell County Schools, and then we're going to talk about a arts extravaganza that involves our students that will be coming up later this month called Kaleidoscope. But to begin with, I have our Director of Transportation, Mr. Jay McCarrier. Jay, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I want to ask you just to share with our viewers as we have this conversation a bit about public transportation in our school system. It's a huge endeavor, and I don't think many folks would understand from the business perspective the volume, mileage, gallons of gasoline, the number of students that we transport, and the beauty of all of that is it's free for parents. But can you share a bit of that information in terms of how many buses do we have?
We have 96 yellow route buses that run every day in Caldwell County.
Okay.
We travel approximately 5,600 miles a day.
Okay.
Is what we run.
And how many drivers do we have?
On a weekly average, it takes about 134 drivers because there's midday runs. 130 drivers a day is about what it runs.
And I know many counties, and we're no different than that in North Carolina, are really looking for bus drivers. Is there a training program that bus drivers go through to be a bus driver?
Yes, we offer several classes a year that a bus driver has to obtain a Class B CDL with a P&S endorsement, which is passenger stop. We usually offer about 3 classes a year. The neighboring counties, if we have somebody that has to get through quicker, we can put them through another county if need be.
An incredibly important job in the role of a school system is the transport of students. So you said 96 yellow buses. What's the difference between a yellow bus and a white bus?
A white bus is an activity bus, and everybody they don't have the lights, they don't have the stop arms, and they're locally owned by the county, and they use them for field trips and sports when we go play sports at different counties and whatnot.
And what the public may not know as well is that there's an efficiency rating that transportation departments are always going after. And that's a big deal that has a lot to do with our funding. And it looks at, is it primarily looking at the ridership and then the number of miles that are driven by?
It looks at each bus as a capacity level on the bus. So, for instance, if you have a 72 passenger bus and your daily route for that bus is only at 40% capacity, you're only hauling 40 kids when you could be hauling 72, you got to start looking at maneuvering that bus to where you get the most efficiency out of that bus.
Okay. I want to go back to numbers. You said 96 yellow buses. Mm-hmm. How many student riders do we have in a given day?
Approximately right now we're around 42 to 4,400 a day.
Okay. And traveling how many miles in a given day? In
a given day is 5,600 and it's a lot of, and it's about 1,000 gallons of fuel a day. We run it every day.
So 1,000 gallons of diesel fuel, give or take, I'm sure.
Give or take, yeah. We have heavy days.
We all have dealt with the spike in gas prices and diesel prices. How does that impact us from a school system perspective?
Well, right now, we're fortunate enough that we get a daily rate of what our quote's going to be for what we're going to pay for diesel fuel, and it has risen. I've spoken to other counties. It has risen. I think our last quote was $4.17, and I think that was on Friday, $4.17 a gallon. Right now, we don't charge that for an activity bus, for instance. We charge our per mile rate back to the school at $1.75 a mile, which is not much at all compared to what we're paying.
Right. Anything else you'd like to share in terms of the services provided to our students?
You know, it is a free service, and we work diligently with my whole team works diligently with the principals, with whoever's at the school to get your child on the bus and safely to school. And it is the safest way to get back and forth to school. We enjoy, our bus drivers enjoy saying good morning and have a good evening every day to each child.
And in many cases are the first face of the school system that a child sees. We thank you for your leadership, for the folks in your department, the mechanics, the folks that work in the office, all the bus drivers. Just incredible work being done behind the scenes that we could not operate school the way that we do without the work of your folks. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you'll come back and join me after this short break, Mr. Randy Hart, Assistant Principal at High Brighton High School, will be here with me. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. We're going to continue the conversation that we're having about transportation services in the Caldwell County Schools. I have a guest with me now, Randy Hart, Assistant Principal from High Brighton High School. Thank you for being here, Randy.
Thank you for having me.
You're in an interesting situation or circumstance because you've served two different types of schools, and I want to talk with you first about that. Being an elementary school assistant principal and now a high school assistant principal, how is that different in respect to buses and the things that you deal with buses?
Well, the biggest difference is the length of time that the students have been on the bus. Elementary, you're dealing with students that are very inexperienced as bus riders, so drivers have to constantly go over, and administrators, teachers have to constantly go over the routine so that they become better riders, if you will. High school, they've been doing it several years. They're more mature. They'll get on the bus, sit down, and a lot of times just go to sleep. And it's, especially in the morning, it's a real quiet drive.
Right. As a principal, I remember every year at the beginning of the school year, at some point there'd be an end of a route and a student would be asleep on a bus. There's some security mechanisms that are built in place now that are on our buses to help ensure that drivers go back and check. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. When we get to the end of the route, if you have turned on your stoplights at all, then there's a button in the back of the bus. The driver has to go back and push at the end of each route. And at that time, the driver can, of course, check and see if there are any students left on the bus.
And school safety, obviously, or safety on the school bus is paramount to what we do. What do we do in terms of district-wide training or the work that you do at an individual school to help promote and ensure that safety is of primary importance and a priority for us in what we're doing?
We have our drivers at High Brighton. We go over through the checklist that they need to do prior to getting on a bus and the things they need to do should something happen. Of course, the bus radio is a beautiful way of communicating, making sure that we and Jay at the garage is aware of anything that might be happening.
How about student code of conduct and behavior on buses? How do we enforce that? How do we notify students and parents what our expectations are?
We meet with our riders at the beginning of the year, let them know that the expectations on the bus are exactly the same as they are at High Brighton, and if they don't follow those expectations, there are consequences that follow along with it, and we communicate that with students and with parents at the very beginning of the year, and then off and on throughout the year.
What do you want the students' experience to be like on a bus?
We want them to enjoy it. We want them to enjoy being on there, but doing so in a manner that the driver is able to get them to and from school safely.
Talk to us about the benefit, working as an administrator, working closely with families. How important is it that bus transportation is provided free of charge to our students?
We want them to know that them getting to and from school safely is number one priority. And we communicate with them as frequently and as often as necessary.
And for families, I know transportation is often a barrier when we're talking about rolling out programs. So just the very program of attending school, the fact that a student can catch a bus and ride the bus for free has to be a huge advantage for many families.
Oh, it is. And they will tell you, I have no way of getting my child to school other than on a bus. And so we work closely with Jay and his crew over at the bus garage to get that set up. If we have a new student enroll, then we'll work with, most of the time it's Jody that I work with, getting that set up as quickly as possible so it's not a burden to the family to try to get them to school.
From a school level perspective, what's the dilemma been for you in terms of bus drivers and the needs for bus drivers this year?
At High Brighton, we're very fortunate. We have several drivers in our building that can drive, but of course there's always a need. We have some out. Got one coming up that's going to have surgery, going to be out for a month or so. And then there's always the possibility, because we have some that are actually employed at High Brighton or at William Lenore, that could be transferred somewhere else. So there's always a need.
Well, we appreciate the work that you do and all of our folks in our schools that are working with buses, a critically important aspect of school operations, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you again for being with us. We're going to take another break and we're going to switch topics over to Kaleidoscope, a great art extravaganza that we want to talk a little bit more about. Hope you'll join me. Welcome back. This is an exciting segue into another portion of our program today. We're going to be talking about Kaleidoscope. And I'm going to have a couple of students that will be coming in that will be talking with us that will also be performers, but also have some history with Kaleidoscope. And with me right now is Braden Frazier. And Braden, I want you to introduce yourself to the folks that are watching and let us know what school you attend and what grade you're in.
Okay. Hi, my name is Braden Frazier. I'm 12 years old, and I'm in 6th grade, and I go to Granite Falls Middle School. The best.
And tell us a bit about Kaleidoscope. What is it for somebody who may not have ever heard of it before?
So if you've never heard of Kaleidoscope before, first of all, you should know it's amazing. You get to see all these talents. It's not a competition necessarily, but I used to think it is. But so Kaleidoscope is where you can get together and you can show your talent to the world. And really, there are some really impressive talents on the show.
What types of talent will be on display? What will students be doing?
Oh, there will be a lot of piano playing. There will be a lot of singing. There will be, I think I heard of a comedy act in there. I remember a few dancing. Yeah, I remember there was a few. What were they? Magic tricks. There was a few magic tricks on the show a few years back.
And this all involves students in the Caldwell County Schools?
Yes,
Is that
students
who's
in the
involved?
Caldwell County Schools, and it blows my mind because it's like children, talent.
Great talent.
Yeah.
And just for our viewers to know, this event will be on the 26th of March at 7 p.m. at the J.E. Broyhill Civic Center in Lenoir. What about tickets?
Tickets will be $5. And if you don't want to wait in line, you need to get them here at the Education Center previously. But if you want to wait in line, you can get them at the Broyhill Civic Center the night of.
Okay, you've talked a bit about the arts and the performances and things like that. Another piece is the actual artwork that's there. And I know that there'll be, 14 schools that'll be having artwork on display. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. And I saw a few art pieces on the lobby TV out there, and they were amazing. Like, there was even a kindergartner that drew a tiger, and my tiger would have been a blob, 4 legs, and a tail. But he actually went into detail, and I thought that was really amazing.
Now, there's one piece of artwork that's selected every year to be used for the promotional piece for Kaleidoscope, correct?
Yes.
And who was that? Whose artwork was selected this year?
I think his name was Jackson Reese, and he's in 11th grade at South Caldwell High School.
Well, we look forward to that. So tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of what you'll be doing and what the audience can expect from you.
Okay, so I'm the one of the 2 MCs. Bailey Smith will be my partner in MC Crime, and I will be singing Shallow as well as MCing, and I think that I'll have a great time doing this.
And how many years have you performed with Kaleidoscope?
I think I've performed Kaleidoscope around 5 or 6 years, kindergarten or 1st grade.
First time ever in the MC role, though.
I did one when I was in 2nd grade, when I was 8.
All right. So when you think about that, and we're talking about the end of this month, what do you think about the experience being like for you, both on the performance side and then also on the MC role that you have?
I think the performance will be, because I do a lot of karaoke's, and I think it'll be another fun experience. I like to think of everything as a lesson to be learned and fun. So I think that this will be a very fun experience for me when I'm singing, but as an MC, I absolutely love to make people laugh, and I absolutely love to introduce new people. So I think that will just come naturally for me, and it'll be a very, very new but cool experience.
Well, I know our viewers will be excited about seeing you and perform both roles there. Thank you for joining me. Good to have you here. And if you'll come back, we'll have one more student guest, and we'll have some more conversation about Kaleidoscope. All right, thank you for joining us again. And as you can see, we have another student and a performer from the Caldwell County Schools who's on with us. This is Carson Webb. Carson, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let our viewers know what school and grade you're in.
I'm in 8th grade, and I go to Granite Falls Middle School.
And what will you be doing at Kaleidoscope?
I will be singing All of Me by John Legend.
Okay. And you've been a performer before. How many times have you performed at Kaleidoscope?
Roughly 6. I don't know the exact number, but roughly 6.
Has it always been singing?
Mm-hmm,
What
most
other
of the time.
talents do you have?
I can play piano.
Because I have no talent. So anything that you can do, I know you do better than I do.
Thank you.
What is the experience like for you being a performer as you anticipate the night and then the actual night of being on stage and performing?
So before you perform, like weeks before the actual day of the performance, you don't think much of it until the week of, and you start to get anxious and nervous, and that's when you start really practicing. And it's not like we don't practice at all. Like I personally practice, like if I know that I got in, I start practicing on a daily basis so I know the words and the lyrics. But I feel like everybody who performs, they get this feeling that they're gonna mess up, and everybody just gets anxiety and they get nervous, and they don't know what to expect. But as a formal person, I know what to expect, but then again, there's always a chance of change, and I don't always know what to expect. Like, there's always that chance of something changing.
And if it's all negative, then nobody would want to do it. What is the positive side of being on stage in front of an audience?
You get to express your feelings through the way that you love to express your feelings. Like, music for myself is a way that I like to express my feelings towards things. Like, I'll be looking at music and I'll rather create a song that shows my feelings in the moment, or I'll find a song that relates to the feelings that I'm feeling in the moment. And I feel like music is a way to express the way that you're feeling.
And when you finish a performance and you've done really well, in your opinion, how do you feel when you're finished with that?
I feel like I've accomplished something. And see, most of the time people nowadays think they don't have any worth of stuff. And when you go up there and you do something and accomplish something, it gives yourself some self-confidence, I guess.
From a student's perspective, why is it important for us to have an event that showcases the arts in our school system?
Well, to show just what what our abilities are to do, what our abilities are, and it just shows what we are capable of.
For a person who's never heard of Kaleidoscope, never been to the program before, what should they expect?
They should expect to enjoy and, I guess, consume the music and the talents of everybody who's performing, and it should show what everybody is capable of doing when they're going there and they've never heard of it and they're like, well, let's give it a shot, let's go see it. They should go there and immediately be able to expect and know what's going to go on and happen throughout the auditorium.
And I know I'll walk away and I'm so proud of what our students do. And it's just hard to imagine that folks as young as you are can do the high quality performances that you do. So I'm looking forward to that. And the beauty of this too is the money that's raised goes back to support arts in our school system. So thank you for being here and sharing with us, and we look forward to seeing you on stage performing. Thank you for your time today. As we wrap up today, I want to just remind everyone that this is the Kaleidoscope program that will be in place. We'll have it going on 7 p.m. at the Broy Hill Convention Center on the 26th, the Saturday of March. And I also want to make another announcement of a different event going on around the same time. We have the Caldwell County Agriculture Fair. It's an agriculture expo to allow our students to learn and see about careers in agriculture. We have 2 different days for this event. The first day is Friday, March the 25th. Both days will be at the Caldwell Fairgrounds. On the 25th, we'll have all of our 7th graders will be coming in. And then on the 26th, it's open up for family and anyone else who'd like to come. A free event that'll have exhibitors, demonstrations, livestock, free fun for the entire family. So we hope you'll come out and participate. Thank you for joining us today and being a part of our program.